guys, we are live again. Welcome. Welcome to this live. I'm super excited. How is everyone doing? Happy hashtag renew Legends of Tomorrow week. It's been a crazy week over in the Twitter world. And today we have a very special guest on this side. Hi guys, welcome. Now everyone's starting to join in on Instagram because I've been asking Daniel to come and chat with us. A bunch of you guys have sent in questions, great questions, and I'm going to be asking them from him, and this is very exciting. So, okay, Daniel's here. Let's get him on. Hey guys, hey everyone, welcome. Yeah, there's a bunch of people who've messaged me. Sorry they can't make it, but they'll watch it later because they're working or, I don't know, having family Easter, which is understandable. But it's fun that people are here. Hi guys. Also, if you have questions now that come to mind, you can send them in.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I am great. How are you? Wait, let me put the volume up so I can hear you. Hey, hi
Hi.
Daniel.
Hi.
Thank you so much for doing this. It's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
How are
And
you
so
doing?
I'm doing well, enjoying the nice sunny California weather. So, yeah,
Nice.
my dog really likes going out multiple times now. He usually gets two walks, but
Yeah,
now he's like, it's really nice. You need to take me more. So,
that's
a lot
nice
of
then.
walks.
Yeah, that's amazing.
How's the
Um,
weather where you are?
it's been actually really nice today. I'm in Helsinki, and yesterday it was like rainy, cold, but then today it was like perfect.
Hmm,
Um, Very cold, but very nice.
nice.
Yeah. Um, well, this week has been a big week. I don't know how much you've been like on Twitter and seeing like all the craziness that's been happening there.
Hmm.
Um, but we've been trying to get this great show renewed, and I wanted to do this. I'm like, I want to do everything I can to kind of participate, and it's so nice that
Nice.
you wanted to do this chat. So welcome.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
I love getting any kind of opportunity to talk about the show. It's like a personal favorite from my career.
yeah.
And um the thing about it for me that's so rewarding is, in life you want, what did Freud say? You need love and work. But I think you need love and not just work, but like a place where you feel needed and
Mm,
a place where you feel like you can contribute and that a lot of your tools are being used. And that's what I feel about this show uh, specifically is it's like, yeah, you just feel needed and there's a lot of stuff to work on that's challenging.
yeah.
Um, but then that also makes it doubly rewarding, right? When it's harder work to do. So yeah, I'm with you. I hope the things this week have some kind of impact for sure.
Yes. I feel like it. I don't know. At least it's been very loud and great. The fandom has been like going crazy, and the writers and the cast and everyone. It's been so much fun to watch. Um,
Yeah.
how did like? Can you tell everyone? I didn't want to like introduce you because I didn't want to get anything wrong. Like, what do you actually do on Legends?
Yes. I am one of the composers for the score on Legends. So that means the music that accompanies, dramatic scenes or action scenes, or basically any music that's not a licensed song in the show comes from the composers who do the score. And for a show like this and a lot of the other Arrowverse shows, that can be anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes of music per episode.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. And then starting later in season 4, they started doing more original songs where the writers of episodes had lyrics and they really wanted, like, something in the flavor of another song, and they wanted it new. So then I started doing that, which was something that I had done a little bit of before, but not to this extent. And that's been like a special surprise for me. It's like I didn't realize how much I enjoy doing that, how much I want to do that. I had always focused on like orchestral music and instead of like songs, and
Yeah.
that's been a really, really, really nice gift. So that's basically what I do for the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. It's been a nice gift for us as well. I think I can say that for everyone. People have
Nice.
been commenting like saying that the music on the show is so great, and I'm like, it's hard to try and read the comments at the same time. um so what kind of team do you have like working on the music? It's not just you, but you're here today. So what kind of, like, how many people do you have working on it, like weekly or?
So how it started, of course, with the show Arrow, right? And the producer Greg Berlanti, his longtime partner, collaborator is Blake Neely, the
Yeah.
composer. And so they started the whole thing together. And then as it grew and expanded to however many shows are on now, um, there was just the need for more composers, more help. So Blake uh, built out a studio and brought in people that he'd worked with, and we all started writing, just contributing music. So in like season 1, the pilot, my first job was, oh, there's a time travel ship, Wave Rider, can you do the theme? And I was like, yes, of course. And so I was just kind of like filling in, and then we were all working on not just Legends at the time, but Arrow and Flash and Supergirl.
Yeah.
So in one week we would be jumping after a few days to the next show and the next. It was kind of a little crazy. And So once we realized, okay, these shows are going to go on for a little while, Blake decided, how about we focus on just a few each? So he
Yeah.
thought, he looked at my abilities and thought, I think you're geared more towards Supergirl and Legends, and the other people were geared more towards Flash or Riverdale or other shows. So I was sort of cast into Legends by Blake,
Right.
and so starting in season 3, he made me co-composer, and that's when I sort of took on more and more and more responsibilities. And I was very, very happy about that because I was really hoping that's where I would end up. But
Cool.
I was just happy to have any kind of job writing music because it's
Yeah.
super, super, super hard, and let alone having a place that's fun to write for,
Yes.
where you see scenes or images where, it's not just a soap opera every week. It's like, oh God, we're in Viking times, or we're in, 1920s. I mean, it's really fresh. So
Yeah. What is the biggest difference between Legends and the other jobs that you've had on the other shows, or like if you've done stuff like before and stuff? What is the?
I think because it almost feels like a different movie almost every week
Yeah.
because of the genre shifting and the homages that they do, and so they reference a whole bunch of other things in in one season. You'll just have all of this stuff, whereas other shows may do a little bit of that every now and then, but it's not like their day to day. And so I
Yeah.
think that's what makes this one so different and unique. But it's also so memorable. What I love about this week, with everybody sharing their memories or their favorite moments, there's so many things where I'm like, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Like that was 6 years ago. Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
And it's been really cool to sort of like a time capsule see the stuff from the show because I haven't gone back and rewatched it. I do want to, but I just haven't done that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, wow, yeah, there were some really, really cool things that I forgot.
Yeah. And different things that like speak to different people. So different people like remember different scenes from like season one or season three, or like back in the day. So it has been really
Yeah,
cool to see everyone's like, this is what I like. It's still like my, you know, the one that I remember.
yeah, yeah. So
Um,
you were are you a fan of the other Arrowverse shows as well?
uh, I am, but I would like Legends is the thing for me. I think
Nice.
like it's just so weird and special, and it does so many things so well that it's like I have nothing against the other shows, but Legends is like the one for me.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Okay. I asked everyone to send in questions, other fans, and I have a bunch of them. So I think if it's okay, we'll just start going through those now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
sure.
okay. The first one from James, who is here, he was just saying here on the comments that you make scenes even more compelling and powerful. Thank you for all your creative work.
Mm, it's
Um,
very nice.
yes. James was asking, do you have a favorite piece that you've composed? Like your own personal favorite?
Just like in
Or
general, like outside of the show,
I
or
think in general, yes.
um, I wrote a violin concerto. It was part of my thesis, as requirement for
Yeah.
school. Um, and yeah, I think that's my favorite because it. I was trying to honor my grandfather, so any of like my musical background, I think, comes from him. He played guitar and sang. He was just a self-taught, by ear kind of guy. He didn't go to school or anything,
Amazing.
and he just loved country music. And he had his little band, and he would play and sing, and that was my beginnings in music. And as I grew and focused a lot on film music and classical music and concert music, there was such a disconnect. I was like, I'm not doing what he did, and I wanted to sort of honor him. And I realized, well, his band had a fiddle player. I was like, that's a violin. So I saw that as a connection for me to like, reach his world. And
Mm.
so I saw this as an opportunity when he passed away. I thought, well, I want to honor him. And so I decided to write a violin concerto that had a lot of the flavors and flair of like a fiddle playing style,
Nice.
very much an Americana kind of sound. And so for me, I think that's probably still my favorite.
Yeah. It's stuff like that because it's so personal. So it like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so cool. Um, okay. Rachel asked, do you have a favorite character theme? I would say like on Legends probably. Do you have themes for all the characters or how does that work?
Working on it.
Okay.
Some of the characters have themes. When we started the show, Blake wrote the Legends theme that you
Yeah.
hear in the main title cards, and we put it all over the show. And then I did the Wave Rider. Um, I would actually say the Wave Rider because it's sort of a character,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
and yeah, and since that was my first thing for the show, I still hold that pretty dear. Um, and yeah, and it's been fun to have it played in different ways, right? Um, when it's coming to save the day, when something happens and it's dark and you know
Yeah.
depressing inside. I remember in the crossover Crisis on Earth X when we had the evil version of it,
Yes.
getting to play with that, um, and then this season having it blow up and then come back
Yes.
together. Um, so that's been really nice because it's been such a like touchstone for the
Cool.
show, and I feel very connected with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And is it always you who then gets to play around with it? Because you like
Most of the time,
created it.
yeah,
Yeah.
most of the time. But you know, Blake's done it, and I'm sure our assistants have helped too. That's the other thing that's really great about everybody that works on the show. We're very protective of the themes, and so if
Mhm.
someone has a theme or if a situation has a theme, we like to reference it and we like to use it because we want everything to feel connected and related and as a whole. So that's what's also great about the broader Arrowverse composers is that we're all very respectful and we work together to make sure it all feels, you know, of a piece.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does. That's so cool. And it's so cool to hear like what actually happens in the heads of people who are making it all happen. Um, Julia asked, what has been the hardest piece of music to figure out?
Oh, that's tough.
Or is it always
Um,
easy?
no, it's not always
No.
easy. Um, one of the challenging ones was when in season three, when let's see, Sarah has to be pulled out of, I guess it's something with Mollis, maybe. I can't remember the exact
Yeah.
situation,
Yeah.
but
Something
like,
is happening with Sarah.
yeah, and then Ava's waiting for her to come back. And it was just like the tone of that situation because it had tension, but it also had this like this power of like of you know that relationship or at least the beginnings of that and her wanting her to come back,
Yeah.
finding the right balance of how to keep that scene working and still give you like some kind of emotional payoff. That was one I remember working a lot on for
Right.
sure.
Right. Is
But
that the
sometimes it's
death
an
totem
action.
one? When Sarah is like, Ava is
Yeah,
wanting her to. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. It's a
um
great scene.
and a lot of other things can be difficult too, like a lot of the oh, the Bebo. That's right, I
Oh, the
forgot.
people.
The Bebo and Mollis fight was challenging because it was a very long sequence.
Yes.
Usually in TV you don't see, you know, 2+ minute visual effects fight. Um,
Yep.
and I remember they they definitely had the visual effects team working weeks on that sequence. But when I saw it, it was like an early rough cut of like these dolls. So they had a Batman
Great.
doll and like some other doll on a coffee table, and they were trying to like show how the fight was going. And I was
Yeah.
watching this going, I don't know, what are they doing? You know, I thought we've jumped the shark.
Yes.
And I was kind of, I don't know, I just was frustrated. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work, and but I have to do it.
Yeah.
And then we were working on the episode, and we got newer updates to the picture, and I started to see it come together, and I was like, this is incredible.
Hmm.
I was just like, you know, shame on me for doubting the genius of the people working on the show because yeah, it was like, oh man, and I think that was for me like my favorite moment at that point. But yeah, it was hard because it was, you know, you don't want to tire an audience with music. You know, you don't want to have it too intense at the beginning of a fight, or you need places to build and you need moments to you know pull back and then come in again. And so that one was tricky because you really wanted to be really cool because it was so epic.
Yeah.
Um, and that one I remember spending at least a whole day on, which may not sound like a lot, but in television, spending a whole day on one sequence is a time. That's a lot of time. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Fair. That was one of the questions. Actually, that's the next question on my list. Um, this is perfect. So Eloise was asking, which track are you most proud of, and how long does it take to put tracks together or episodes, or what's the time frame that you have to like get everything done in?
So we typically have about a week, sometimes longer. Like this during COVID, we've had a little bit longer because everything has been kind of stretched out.
Yeah.
So, but typically like a week, maybe two. And we divide up the episode so that, I know which cues I'm going to work on and know which cues, Blake and our assistants are going to work on. And we have like a Google sheet that has all this information that our music editor sets up. So we know like, okay, there's this many minutes and there's the description of the scenes and I need to end in F major because the next cue is going to start in F major. So we try to
Right.
keep it very organized. So it's a
That's
very
cool.
nice, well-oiled machine at this point.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not a lot of time. Yeah, it's very quick work.
Mm. Do you work well like in when you have a time frame that's tight, or would you rather have like, you know, weeks or what, months to, just sit in it, and or do you actually like the fact that we have a week and it needs to be done and then it's out?
I don't think I like that it has to be a week, but for whatever
Yeah.
reason, I function better with the looming deadline.
Mm.
Um, it's just a weird thing I figured out about myself that I need the stress, and
Yeah.
it's just a fact of life.
Yeah. That's fair.
So
That's fair.
yeah,
Amazing. Okay. Pam asked, what has been the biggest band on Legends? Like how many musicians at once? What's been the biggest orchestra that you've worked with?
for Legends, the crossovers we've had orchestras on two occasions. I think the one we had in the finale of this season might have been the biggest one. I'm pretty sure it was about 50 players, um, which is a
Yeah.
lot for the show.
Yeah.
Um, and that's awesome. We like to ask for budgets for that when we can. But what's great about our post production producer Jeff Garrett, he if he sees there's money in the budget, he'll tell us, "Hey, we have some money. Do you want to record with an orchestra?" I mean, why would we ever say no?
Yes,
But it's
exactly.
nice that he asks. He doesn't demand is that you have to go do this. Um, but that's been really great. So, kudos to him and the producers for, instead of saying, well, we could do another visual effects thing or we could, whatever. So it's
Yeah.
nice that they invest into the music as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Um, okay. Then there was, I think the next section is going to be about the mixtape because I got a lot of questions about the mixtape.
Yeah.
But I just think it's crazy that you have released a full album on a superhero show. Like, how did that happen? Was that like whose idea was that? And was it like an obvious thing? Because you were like, well, we have all these songs, so we might as well like release them at once.
It wasn't super obvious because um, a few of the ones in the beginning were so short
Yeah.
and they were all over the place. Like there wasn't one specific genre. So
Yeah.
we thought about including them on the soundtracks with the score, but then it was like, well, where do we put them? And then we don't get to put as much score. And then when we saw season six forming, and I realized there's going to be 10 songs in season six alone.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I looked back and I was like, if we put all of them together, yeah, we have an album.
Yeah.
So that's basically when it became a possibility. And I thought, okay, this is great. This makes sense to have them all together. Some of the smaller ones, it just didn't feel right, like to just put them out on their own.
Yeah.
So everyone, yeah, the producers, the writers, everyone was supportive of that. And so knowing that, when we were doing some of the season six songs, um, I would ask for some additional lyrics so that there were longer versions that we could make and then
Yes.
just like cut them down for the show. So that was really cool,
Hmm.
being able to do that. So that's sort of that's sort of how the mixtape came around.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was such a cool treat, like when the album came out, and then there were like longer versions of some of the songs.
mm.
People were freaking out. It was so cool. Do you have a favorite song on the mixtape? Can you choose a favorite?
I I like so many, if
Yeah.
that's okay to say.
Same.
Um, but like I feel like Space Girl is really
It's a
there's a
classic
special,
already.
yeah, it's got some fun things. And that one I would probably say, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, I would have said Space Girl, but I don't want to say the same. I think future favorite is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then the Mr. Parker's cul-de-sac, the punk version, I love that. I love the original too, but when Maisie was doing that like in the episode, and first you're just like, oh, this is cool, like she's gonna sing, and then she starts singing that song. I was like, what is this show? But
Yeah,
I love that one.
that's great.
Um, uh, people have been saying here on the comments, that future favorite is my comfort tune, says
Hmm.
Elise. I feel like people have like really listened to a lot of the songs, which is really cool. That's why it's so cool that they're all like out. Um, do you? Okay, next one. Um, if you could, oh, this was a fun question. If you could choose an artist that would cover one of the Legends songs, like Space Girl,
Hmm.
it actually said in the questions, who would it
Oh
be? Like
man.
a dream cover of one of the Legends
Oh
songs.
well. Well, in the case of Space Girl, it would be nice if David Bowie would sing it, but
Well,
you know, he's
yeah.
yeah. That is a tough question. Um, so when we were doing which one was it? Oh, Real Dragon Girl, when we were doing that one, the sort of influence for the way that they wanted the Noxacrylan voice to sound was sort of modeled after The Weeknd,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
that led to how we cast the voice for the song. And I love Gregory Fletcher, who sang the song. Like,
Yeah.
he's fantastic.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and so I was like, oh, that'd be interesting if The Weeknd would sing this song, or a song like this. That's one that I would
Mhm.
like. I'm not sure which song he would sing, but John Legend would be fantastic
Yeah,
on a song.
we'll take it.
I mean, there's just too many. I can't even like narrow that down.
Yeah.
Um, that's tough. That's really
Yeah,
tough
it is.
because we've had some really good singers. Um,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, you see in the album, like so many people on the cast are just so gifted.
Yeah.
Um, oh, yeah.
Yeah. People are saying their favorite songs. Um, James said that Ever Fallen in Love is a good cry
Mm.
tune. Haha. um, future favorite and I Surrender are my favorites. Space Girl. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's like all of them are so different, but somehow they all just work together. And there's so many of them. There's like 20, 21 songs.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I love it. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
what I've loved, I'll just say about the album in general, what
yeah.
I've loved about it is how many people were involved in it. So
Mm,
like, you mentioned that guy mentioned Ever Fallen in Love. So that was a cover of a song, and just the process of like, the writers saying, we love this song. Is it possible for it to work? Can we
right.
get it to fit into the episode? Can we get it to fit into the tone of the show? So just the process of all of that. So we work a lot with the music supervisor, Season Kent, who is like really awesome. And she will facilitate everything
Mm,
with covers and whatnot. And I just love, love, love how it's not just me here in my studio deciding things.
yeah.
It's reacting and feeding off of other people, especially when the writers do the lyrics. We have back and forths about it, and I play them demos, and then like I Surrender, that featured Rashi Kulkarni, who at the time was an assistant in the studio, and they wanted to bring in someone that could handle some adding into the Bollywood element. And she had had some experience with Indian musicians, so that was a nice fit. So it's just like this very communal thing, which I just absolutely, I didn't realize how much I missed that, working with multiple people and not just making something about myself, or
Yeah.
my music.
Yeah.
And yeah, some of the covers are my favorites on there too, like Poison. I
Yes.
mean, my gosh, that was just
I
another
love it.
moment where I had doubts, where they told me what they wanted to do, and I was like, I don't know about this. And then it was like the best thing.
It's so good.
So yeah.
It's such a good scene and such a cool version of that song. Um,
Oh, I actually went to the set for that one,
yeah,
and I just wanted to see like how it was going to be put together.
yeah,
And that's when I first met Jess, and she was kind of nervous, even though she was just going to be lip syncing,
yeah.
but she was still like completely nervous about it all. And she was like, "Well, here, let's watch our careers go down the drain." And I was like, "No, no, no." It was just funny that, yeah, seeing how nervous she was about it, and I was nervous, and it was
Right.
going to be just fine.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so fun.
yeah. Do you get to go to the set a lot, or do you do that often, or not really?
No, so I'm here in LA, and then they
Yeah,
film in Vancouver.
yeah.
So that just happened because it was at the beginning of the season, and we weren't scoring episodes yet, so I had some time.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I wish. And then after COVID, yeah, there wasn't a lot of
Yeah.
chances to go for the
There.
bigger music. I would love to have seen Future Favorite live, but that just wasn't a possibility.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the questions was, what was it like working with Amy for Future Favorite and then Cheyenne for By My Side?
Okay, so yes, I adore these guys, guys and girls.
Yes.
They are fantastic. I know Cheyenne had uh, done music in his past,
Yeah.
so he was really, really good at adapting and providing feedback, suggestions, and just, yeah, totally awesome. Same with Amy; she'd had a lot of music experience,
Yeah.
so they were awesome. For future favorites, that one was interesting because originally they wanted to do a cover of a song from like the 20s,
Okay.
and you would think that's a no-brainer to get the rights to do that, but for whatever reason it was impossible. Like it belonged to like multiple companies, and it was just going to be impossible to get.
Okay.
So they were like, well, what else should we do? And I was like, how about, can I just write you lyrics and music for something just completely original?
Yeah.
And that's how it started. And so they're like, yeah, sure. And then we started the process of, okay, what's the style? And what are the needs of the scene? And they said, well, it needs to be like slow and sultry at the beginning, and then it's going to have some in between, kind of dance action things, and then
Yeah.
it's like a big jazzy finish. A lot of the references were like Chicago and having that kind of feel. So we did all that, and that's always difficult. And then you have to plug in who's going to sing this, which Amy had been doing voiceover for the show, but I never really worked with her, and I was just blown away when I sent her a demo so she could start practicing, and then she just at home recorded herself doing it and sent it back to me, and I was just like, this is perfect. Like, wow, like
We'll use this
unbelievable.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really nice surprise. everything about that song, you know, in projects, there's usually something that you plan for the best, and then something kind of doesn't end up right, and that's just the way it goes in the business. And everything just was so easy and just worked and followed through, and I was like, this just doesn't happen, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I really am glad people enjoy that. The biggest icing on the cake was we had such a good band. Um, we recorded at Capitol Records. They were just like some of the best musicians in town.
Yeah, I
So
think
that,
you've shared a video of that, like of a session from the recording. So cool.
yes, yes. So all of that, it was just, yeah, a miracle.
Yeah. And someone was asking about the lyrics, and I think you've talked about that at some point, how like they are Ava Land's lyrics, but like what was that like journey like lyric wise in that song?
So, yeah, the only thing I was told was that they wanted the song to be a celebration of love.
Okay.
And I don't think it specifically had to be Ava and Sarah.
Yeah.
But since they were in it, and I was like, well, sure, might as well, you know, be about them.
Yeah.
And so that's where I started. And it just kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It just like flowed.
Cool.
And then also, I thought it would be nice if some of the lyrics hinted at like the journey of the whole show,
Hmm.
and sort of like my love for that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was nice to celebrate them as a couple, especially because like, yeah, it had been building for so long, you know, the
Yeah.
wedding and everything. So it's like they needed this big moment.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't do lyrics often, but this was one of those cases where I felt I could connect with this, you know, and I thought I'm going to be coming from a place of authenticity, and I'm not going to be like forcing things in here. So um, I think that's why it also was easier for me.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. That's cool. Such a great song. Um, and then, okay, I got a question going, who is your favorite cartoon princess and why is it Princess Astra? And this came from a certain Princess Astra. So I wanted to, I mean, you can answer that too, but I wanted to ask, like, what was that process like with the animated sequence and doing the music for that? Because it was very Disney-like, but still it was very original and very Legends at the same time, and then doing the songs for that. And how was that episode?
yeah, that was awesome. That one we had to plan out a little bit more in advance because animators need the time.
Yeah.
So we talked about that one very early in the season, and started working with Olivia as soon as we had demos. We started
Okay.
working with her. We did multiple recordings just so we could get everything to feel right and to sit right in the way that the animators were going to do the you know, the mouths and everything.
Yeah.
And then we had a nice, I think we had a string group and some woodwinds to really give it the Disney flair.
Yeah.
Um, that was tough. I remember the other scenes in that show being challenging to score as well. Because yeah, we wanted to capture that feeling, right? That
Yeah.
vibe of sort of like Beauty and the Beast kind of reference. And
Hmm.
what was nice was Katie directed that episode,
Yeah.
and so she would give us comments as well. So that was fun. Especially the one that we've worked on the most was the lullaby, because
Mm.
we wanted to get the right tone. We didn't want it to be too dark. We didn't want it to move too slow or too fast. So that one we did spend, I remember the most time on was the lullaby.
Right.
But I kind of wish there had been more. I wish the whole episode could have been animated, and there would have been everyone singing too.
Yeah. Fair.
Maybe that's something they could go back to sometime.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was like when I was watching the episode. Like that's what I thought. I don't know why I thought that the whole episode is going to be animated, and I'm like, oh, we're like we have only like where is it? Are
Yeah,
we gonna get it? but the sequence was so great, and I can't even imagine how much work goes into like building even that short of a bit, but it
Yeah.
was so good.
Yeah, it was very nice. And I like now that you've said that, it seems like the one of the showrunners, Keto, she's yeah, vibed with the, fantasy element because she
Yeah.
was the one who did the Fairy Godmother songs with me.
Right.
And then we had that one. So it's yeah, it seems like the fairy tale element is coming from her, I think.
Right. I love it. I'm so here for it. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Rachel asked, what is something fans might be surprised to know about the composing process? I know everyone's process is probably different, but you can only speak for yourself. But what is
What
the
would they be
process like in work?
surprised? I think, I mean, this may be just me, but you come to there's a lot of doubt for me.
Right.
Even though it's season 7 of a show that I've been working on, and you still have doubts, you want to improve what you've done. So for me, I get to be my own worst enemy in the process. And maybe it's like that. I'm sure it's like that with others too. So there's a lot of just getting through that and
Yeah,
overcoming
fair.
that just to get the work done. And then you start the scene and you start like breaking it down and saying, at this point I need to hit this, and at this point I need to build to this, and here's the emotion for this. And once you start doing the blueprint, it's like, oh, I know what to do. Why was I in my own head thinking I need to like reinvent the whole wheel,
Yeah.
and instead of doing what the show needs. So that's kind of like, I guess, the darkest thing about the process for me.
Mm.
Um, but I guess maybe would they be surprised? Um, I mean, I react to this show when I'm watching the rough cut, and it a lot of times it's like if it's been in between seasons, it's like, oh, it's like coming back to camp and seeing your friends again
Yeah.
with these characters, and I'll sit here and laugh and cry, and I'll experience the show just like any fan would,
Yeah.
and that always helps me get into it,
Mm.
and it helps with like it, you know, giving the emotions that the characters are going through as if you felt some of it. So it's always
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. So at what point do you get the script and then you start working on it, and then when you've worked on it, then you see the rough cut of the episode when you're already done with your work? Or do
So
you
we
still
work.
after that get to like change things or
No, we start with just the rough cut or the usually a locked cut, but it'll be missing a lot of visual effects or some of the ADR sound, or the sound needs to be redone, or sometimes there'll be shots missing, and we have to figure that out. But the only time scripts come in are when there are lyrics or
okay.
or something special like the animated thing where we have to
Yeah.
really plan. Um, so yeah, I don't usually, and we do have lists of distribution where I can read the scripts. I don't like doing that because I like
Okay.
just seeing it put together. But when I have to read it, I love that I can see, oh yeah, that the way that they're written, the voices of the characters are so there. And so
Yeah.
you can see the episode when you read it. And I know that sounds like a
Right.
no-brainer, but like not a lot of imagination is needed to like play the episode in your head from the script, which is really cool.
That's cool. Even in a show like this where it's like I could imagine like reading the script being like, what is this? you know? But that's fair. Um, okay, I have a couple more. Um, James was asking, how important is it for you to set tone for scenes through music? And his example was John's bloody 613 scene when he's like battling himself.
Oh,
There's
wow.
two guns.
Yeah. Yes. Tone is, I think, uh, tempo, rhythm is first, and then tone, and they kind of go together.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, for that, I spent a lot of time on that. um, because I wanted to, a lot of times for this show, what we like to do is find um, sounds that aren't necessarily in an orchestra. We really like bringing in something that's unique, either electronic or manipulated from a live sound or a
Yeah.
combination. And for that, I was like, we really got to get kind of gnarly and gritty and creepy because we wanted to make the evil John so different.
Yeah.
Um, so that yeah, tone is very key, and it's also helpful. So in the locked cuts, rough cuts we get, the assistant editor will put temporary music underneath the scenes. So
Okay.
that's helpful because it gives you an idea of, oh, okay, I see what might work here, or oh, no, 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 that doesn't work at all.
Right. Right.
um, so that's very helpful.
So they just
And most,
use like random other songs or like piece of music to put there.
I would say 90% of the time they actually use other parts of our score.
Okay.
So from
Right. Right.
earlier episodes, and
Right.
then occasionally when they couldn't find something because we hadn't done it,
Yeah.
they'll put something from another movie
Okay. Fair.
or a classical piece, and so
Yeah.
that's really helpful in knowing like giving like some parameters about
Yeah.
where we should go.
Yeah.
But I'm glad someone noticed that one because yeah,
Mm.
that was hard.
Because that was hard. um, do you have a character that has inspired you musically the most? Like someone that stands out like
Hmm.
from this show, who it's been easy to write music for, or I don't know, in any way
Well, it's not the same character, but both of the characters that Matt Ryan has played, I've really I've really connected with, you know, especially in season 4, uh the whole arc trying to save, you know, Desmond.
Yeah.
Um all of that was really touching and just the idea of him like struggling to fit in, right? I mean, they all struggle in their own way to fit in, but
But
his
he
challenges were
struggles.
unique. Yes, yeah. And then to be vulnerable and emotionally vulnerable, you know. But then Gwen, that character, I was really shocked at how I really felt for that.
Mm.
Um, not just from the war aspect, but like when he was talking to Ava about how he doesn't deserve love because it's against God. And that just like cut deep because I came from a sort of religious background. And when I was trying to decide if I could come out or not, those kind of thoughts and feelings, you know, were there too. And I'm sure
Mm.
with many
Same.
people.
Yeah.
So that was really, I didn't realize I would be invested in that as much as I was.
Yeah.
So all those scenes with him and Ava and him and Zari and figuring all that out just was a really nice emotional thing for me this season.
Yeah.
Um, and I was glad this, you know, I don't always know what's coming. So I remember when we first meet Gwen and he's first talking about the war and his time, I thought, you know, it's probably a good idea to set up some themes here for all of this, you know, for how he feels about his friends, which you could tell was more than a friend,
Yeah.
uh, himself when he's kind of comedic, and then himself in relation to the war. I'm
Mm.
really glad that time was taken because it was very good to come back to that in those conversations. And also when he was there with his fallen comrade and just being able to bring in that just helps solidify, you know, the familiarity and the emotion and you know it's manipulative but in a good way. So
Yes. Yeah. And it works. Yeah. That's amazing. Do you, Esther was asking, what's your favorite episode or scene? Do you have like, um,
Man.
music wise, or is it linked to like music always? Do you go like that's my favorite
Mm,
because of the music, or
I am a huge Star Trek fan, so I think my favorite is 514.
yeah,
Not just for the Star Trek thing, but I loved the way they were in multiple TV shows. I wish it had been
yeah,
like a two-parter
it was
or
brilliant.
whatever, because just the Downton Abbey thing and the Star Trek and the Friends.
Yes, the
Um,
ultimate buzz.
yeah, just loved that. Wasn't there? Oh, then Mr. Parker coming back. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was I loved that. And then I thought when WandaVision came out, I was like, okay, well, Legends kind of did this first. So, um,
You're copying us, but that's fine.
right. Also, that one was directed by Mark Guggenheim, who has
True.
been with the Arrowverse forever. So it was nice to like work with him on the songs, and he's also a huge Star Trek fan. So we
Right.
it was nice to be nerdy. So
Yeah. And that was his first, like he directed for the first time. Like that was his debut, right?
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
that's a big episode to kind of
yeah.
do
I
first.
loved it.
Um, okay. Final question that I have here is how do you find inspiration for the music you produced? Or like music influences? Like what inspires you
Mm.
musically? Or in any way?
Mm. I think since I was 12, I kind of wanted to study more about music and specifically film scores, TV scores. So starting then, I would get whatever soundtracks I could get and just devour them and take CDs and just play them over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
So I think all of those things, you know, were a lot like a quilt, right? Where all these experiences are pieces of a quilt, and that's who you are, is the sum of
Mm,
that.
yeah.
And I think just so much of that music is just in my veins. Um, and so when I talked about how it's good to feel needed and that all your tools are being
Yeah.
used, that's what I felt with this show was like it saw inadvertently saw value in that I had all this love of all of these genres and scores and whatnot. And I was able to take that and distill it into different episodes.
Yeah.
And so, got to play around in westerns and got to play around in animation and got to play around in jazz and all these things that I had experienced in my life as a musician and a composer. And it was just nice to like have outlets for all of that. The biggest influences are, I would say, film music. John Williams is the best,
Yep.
and there's so many others. Thomas Newman, Elmer Bernstein, a lot of composers that did musicals, especially in the first half of the 20th century. Just a huge
Mm,
influence.
yeah.
Um, a lot of jazz musicians. I went to a college that had a jazz emphasis,
Oh,
so
cool.
being around that was definitely affected me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's where I would say most of it comes from.
Mm, that's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. Well, these are all the questions, and we've been here for almost an hour. It does not feel like that. Um, but I want to thank you for doing this. This was so great. And
My
I know
pleasure.
everyone who's been here has appreciated you taking the time and actually sharing about like it's so interesting. This is what someone was saying to me like when I posted that I'm doing a live with you. They were like, it's gonna be so interesting to hear about this show like from a different perspective that
Mm,
we, maybe usually hear about it. So it was really
yeah.
cool to meet you and thank you so much for doing this and this was amazing. And I'll
No, my
save this for
pleasure.
everyone who wasn't here live.
Yeah, yeah. No, my pleasure. Like I say, I love talking about the work. There's not a lot of opportunities to do that because we're just focused on the job
Yeah.
and doing the next thing, and we're not composers aren't used to like going in front of cameras or people,
Yeah.
so
That's
it's
fair.
nice to to break out of the shell a little bit.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, my pleasure. This has been great.
yeah, awesome. Here's everyone sending hearts and comments, thanking you for sharing. Awesome. Okay, well, we are gonna finish this live, and I can let you out first. First, thank you so much. It was really nice to meet you, and
Thank you.
we look forward to season 8, hopefully,
Yes.
and all the work that you'll get to do on that. So
All right. Well,
cool.
thank you so much. Lovely to meet
Thank you,
you.
Daniel. Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye. Guys, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is everyone saying thank you. Um, that was great. Oh my gosh. How was that an hour? Wasn't that great, guys? That was so cool. I'm gonna like look back on this um a few times to actually listen to the answers. Um, you did it. Yes, I did it. We did it. This was great. Um, wow, what a lovely guy. He was so nice. This is the thing about this show. Like everyone is so nice. Everyone who works on this show, it's actually crazy. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for being here and hanging out. And now we can all move back to Twitter. Those who are on Twitter, there's fan art craziness still happening. And on Sunday, we're doing the next live, which is a fans talk Legends live. So I'll be posting more about that. But we'll basically, I think what we'll do is just talk about like our favorite things about Legends and whatever, so people can share whatever they want. And I have some special guests saved up for that. Um, I don't want to give them away now because anything can happen. So I don't want to promise anything if it's not going to happen, but you will love it. So everyone should be there on Sunday. And yeah, this is it. So gotta save our show. Seriously, this is why we're here. Hashtag renew Legends of Tomorrow. Who's the guest, Tia? It's okay, we can wait. Um, no, you will love it. And there's been people who have said that they will come if they are able to. So that's why I don't want to be like, this person will come and this person will come if they are not able to. Um, I absolutely missed the whole interview. That's okay, Dan. I'll save it and you should watch it. This was great, actually. This was really, really good. Okay, I will see everyone on Sunday. Okay? I will see you then. Bye.